we are live. Hello and welcome. I apologize for the delay. I was having some technical difficulties with getting the slideshow set up today, but this is highly articulated. More specifically, this is the Northern Outpost debrief. We will be chatting about the what happened this week in Yojo June, as well as what is coming next week. We think for the grand finale of Yojo June. I'm on my own today because, as the title says, I'm going to be getting a little bit critical, which is a little bit, it might seem atypical for me. You guys know that I'm always positive. I'm always upbeat. I'm always really excited for all this stuff. But I got a few little nitpicks that I got to bring up, and I will be doing that this week. But that being said, I will sort of preface everything by saying that I'm still loving this line. I'm still loving these products. I've pre-ordered everything. It's not as though I've gone sour on the line or on Hasbro or anything like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. Who's here? Larry, what's going on? James is here with us. Tyler, let's get this party started. It's too hot. It's hot here as well. So I will probably not go over the hour because the room that I'm in, the room that I do the videos in, can get really, really hot, really, really fast. But I also just realized that I forgot to turn my lights on, which doesn't matter. I'm going to leave them off because it'll probably keep it a little bit cooler. Tristan is here. And that's so far that's everybody that's commented. Anyway, let's get right into it. I like to show off what I've got this week. You know, I like to do a little show and tell at the beginning of the episodes. This week I got a new G.I. Joe t-shirt. I don't know if it's gonna get a whole crew of figures. Well, characters, I guess they're not figures, but Snake Eyes is actually on there twice, which I thought was kind of funny. I didn't even notice it before I grabbed it, but the other G.I. Joe related item that I got is not exactly a G.I. Joe item, but it is very much something that I picked up for my classified figures. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a brand called Extreme Sets. It's an American company that does essentially really elaborate cardboard dioramas. And I picked up a set that is called the Sector 7 Docking Bay. I'm not going to show it all. I'll just show you this. It came with this really cool sort of control table, which has this sort of see-through hologram type image. These sets are really, really cool. If you're looking for some sort of diorama or some sort of additional stuff to go with your figures to either put on a shelf or, you know, for adding play value, I highly recommend these. These very much exceeded my expectations. I'd seen them a lot in people's photography, but you know how sometimes when people do a really nice photo, it can give you a false idea of what these things are and what they aren't. But in this case, I think the Extreme Set stuff lives up to the hype. Very, very nice product. And it is available. Some sets are currently available from Mike at eCollectibles. So if you're interested, head over there and check that out. We will also be taking a quick look at his site now. This just in, so this is sort of the latest stuff available through eCollectibles. If you haven't gotten your Snake Eyes and Timber yet, by all means, I would strongly recommend you do that. I think it's going to be a great looking figure, and it's going to be a great deco. Plus, you get a couple accessories that you didn't get in the other versions. He's got some of the Cobra Island stuff as well. So if you haven't gotten your barbecue, as I know a lot of people haven't, by all means, get an order in there. And if you still need a Cobra Island roadblock, you are very much probably in the minority, but he's got them and you can get them there. Where are the Extreme Sets? Like I said, Mike can get you hooked up. I actually got a couple of them. I got the Sector 7, this one right here, which I thought was nice and versatile. It can sort of do G.I. Joe, it can do Star Wars, it can do different stuff. So I went with versatility for my first set, thinking, you know, it could do a couple different lines and sort of fit in and piece together with some other stuff. I also, for my Mythic Legion stuff, as well as the upcoming Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, I decided to get this castle set. I don't have this one, you know, next to me on hand, but it's also a fantastic set. I'm actually, part of the reason that I got the two that I got is I'm actually going to sort of piece them together to do Mindbender's Lab when we get Mindbender. Like I said, fantastic additions to your shelf, to your collection. Great for toy photography if you're into that. But head over to ecollectibles.ca and check those out, because like I said, they are quite fantastic. Jumping back into the comments, Larry said, I got noticed the other day that my Croc Master will be shipping from Pulse soon. So it's started. It has started. It seems like he's popping up in a few more places. I was lucky enough to get mine. He is, of course, over. Oh, you can't see my finger. He's right there on the shelf. You can see Fiona stretched out there. Fantastic figure. You're absolutely gonna love that figure for sure. Hairbase says, I got the ubiquitous UB01 diorama set from Big Bad Toy Store. Is that the gray plastic one that kind of looks like a Star Wars Imperial hallway? I think that's the one. I think that's the one that you're talking about. Just off the top of my head, if I remember correctly. Larry, I have 2 Mindbender pre-ordered. Well, you're gonna need somewhere to put them. You're gonna need a lab for them. So jump on over there and grab one. I picked up an Extreme set 2, Sector 6. Can wait to build when I have time. Yes, they do take some time, and what I would strongly recommend is that you take as much time as you need. I actually used like a metal ruler to get a nice hard edge, and folded everything really carefully. Took my time. I rushed through the first couple pieces to get them all folded up and ready to go, and I had to go back and sort of correct them a little bit. It is cardboard, so you can fold it not where the seams are. Let me see if I got a piece that's unfolded so I can sort of show. This is a good example because it's just sort of a blank piece. So this is to make up a staircase. So they come with these sort of pre-cut pieces. They're all flat packed, so they're big boxes, but they're pretty thin. But each piece, I don't know if you can see it, comes with, oh, that's better. You can see the creases. So each piece comes essentially with the fold line already in it. And so I just sort of set a metal ruler against it and then folded it against the metal ruler, and they worked fantastic. Super easy to put together. Just take your time, like I said. Yeah, you have to build it up. Yes. Okay, so it was that one. Tristan said, my GameStop pre-orders got pushed back to August, but I finally got a Bat and Alley Viper, so it evens out. Yes, I think anytime we get a new figure in hand, the dopamine kicks in, and all of our anxieties and our stress about pre-orders and all the stuff that's coming up to be pre-ordered kind of goes by the wayside. At least it does for me. I think the longer that we have in between pre-orders, the more build up people get of that tension, of that anxiety, of that stress. There's more time to think about the stuff we don't have, I guess, is the easiest way to think about that. But the line is awesome. I didn't include it because I just saw it last minute. But apparently in the States where they were showing the film in theaters, they actually had a Hasbro G.I. Joe classified trailer, basically. And Emily said that by the end of 2023, there will be 100 figures in the classified line. Now, she wasn't She didn't specify whether that would include the retro line, whether that would include figures that might come with the HasLab project, whether there would be other stuff that was redeco, repaint, stuff like that. I don't know that that means there's sort of 100 numbered figures in 100 numbered boxes, because that would seem like a stretch. Kamakura being 61, that would mean, you know, roughly 40 figures between Kamakura and the end of 2023. Could also mean available in the line. So we could get to, you know, 80, 85, 90 by the end of 2023 in hand, and then maybe there's some outliers for pre-orders and stuff like that. But it's just really exciting and nice to know that the wheels are still turning. There's more stuff coming. They've got at least 40 more figures in the works. So good stuff. Now, what I wanted to talk about today, my little nitpicks about a couple things with the line. Larry, I'm still waiting for my Alley Viper and Bats from E-Collectibles, but I got my set from Toy Snowman back in February. Yeah, and it's funny because I've gotten everything that I've ordered from E-Collectibles, and everything that I've ordered from Toy Snowman. I'm trying to think if I have any pre-orders from either of them, and I don't. Everything that I've ordered from both of those guys has arrived. The outliers for me are just the stuff that nobody has yet. So I've got a couple pre-orders. Well, I've got my Amazon pre-orders for Kamakura and the Ninja 2-pack. I've got my Viper 3-pack pre-order, and I've got a couple figures from Pulse that were, you know, Pulse or Target exclusives. So I'm just waiting on unreleased figures effectively at this point. Pre-orders isn't my nitpick. I got one really quick nitpick with that Duke. My nitpick with the Duke and the Tiger Force Ram is that I think Tiger Force vehicles should be repurposed Cobra vehicles. I think it was a misstep for them to do the Ram instead of the coil. That being said, I think the Ram in Tiger Force colors doesn't quite land for me, but I like it. I do like it. I do. It does very much look true to the Tiger Force aesthetic, and I think it's good. That was my nitpick with that. I thought it should have been the coil. On a somewhat related note, I've decided that I'm going to paint a coil in Tiger Force colors because I really want one, because that was what I was sort of hoping we would get, and that's what I was looking forward to. But that's neither here nor there. The Amazon stuff went up on .ca as well. So that Kamakura went up on .ca, and the Ninja 2-pack went up on Amazon.ca. Now, the Ninja 2-pack is sold out. Kamakura is still there. He's really hard to find. That's sort of my next nitpick, which I won't get too deep into. But, you know, if you're going to have an exclusive, at least make it so that people can buy it. And I don't mean that it sells out. I mean, people can't find these things. Like, it takes a while for people to figure out where to get it, which is just frustrating. And I don't know. I ordered mine from .com. I don't necessarily trust .ca for Hasbro pre-orders, so I didn't wait for .ca to get them, let alone ship them. That's actually where I got this shirt. I had to make it worthwhile. It was in my cart. It was on my Amazon.com cart, and when I checked out, it was still there. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess I'll just grab it now. I wanted it before, and I just thought, well, now's the time. Kind of bundle shipping a little bit that way. But Larry, boo to .ca. They cancel them all the time. Yes, and Larry, you're a Transformers guy, so you will know that they do it across lines. They did it with all the Transformers stuff too. I had a couple of those 2-packs, the Earthrise 2-packs, never delivered. The Arctic Assault Storm Shadow never got delivered. I know that I think a couple people picked him up through .ca eventually, but I don't like taking that risk. When the pre-order goes up, I get my order in and I'm done with it. With your nitpick, isn't it a matter of consistency? Hasbro is establishing classified Joe vehicles and Cobra vehicles. Just my thought. Possibly. We could, and we could see a repaint of the coil in another Cobra color. So we could see like a Dreadnought coil. I don't know, because we don't have enough vehicles is I guess the easiest way for me to answer that. But I mean, in terms of consistency with the history of the line, the Tiger Force vehicles in the 80s were repurposed. The Ferret was a repurposed vehicle. They repurposed the water moccasin. They repurposed a couple things. I know they repurposed. Well, they didn't repurpose. They repainted a couple Joe vehicles as well. But I was just hoping they would use the coil. That nitpick, admittedly, is like a personal preference one. I really like the coil. I may be in the minority, but I really like the design of that bike, and I'm not bothered that I have to paint my own. I mean, I'm happy to do that. That'll be a fun little project for me as well. But in terms of them, having a consistency, maybe, but I don't know that there's enough vehicles in the line to really say one way or the other. Larry, I had to pay extra off eBay for the Storm Shadow when it got canceled. Yeah, a lot of people did. I had ordered that from .com as well. I tend to. I think I'd already had one canceled .ca pre-order from a Hasbro product, and other people had other things canceled. So I was already of the opinion that I was going to go .com and .ca, and I've done the same again with the Ninja 2-pack and Kamakura, believe it or not. I've ordered both from both, and whichever one ships first, I'll be happy with. I think the difference for 2 Ninja 2-packs and 1 Kamakura was like $5 one way or the other. And I can't remember if it was $5 cheaper to get it from .ca or .com. Like, I can't even remember. It was so insignificant that it didn't really matter to me. So I also, out of curiosity, I expect my .ca order to get canceled, but I placed my order anyway. It's purely because I want to see if they're going to deliver this one, to see if they've figured it out. The dates are completely different. .com has got them coming out soon. .ca is saying like May 2023, I think, for both of them. And I think on .ca, the Ninja 2-pack is sold out, or it says currently unavailable. And Kamakura is incredibly hard to find. You have to find another Hasbro product that has the little sort of thing at the top that says Hasbro brand. You click that, you go collector's corner, and then Kamakura shows up sort of when you scroll down. But if you click on them, you get that .ca page that says, oops, this page doesn't exist. You can go back, it says quick look. You can hit quick look, which doesn't give you like a description or anything. You can pre-order it, and that's it. Like, you don't get the Amazon page where you're shopping. There's no other recommended. There's no, like, it's just a totally different way to find it. And like I said, why? Like, why do they? Anyway. Can't wait for your painted coil, but coil to me is just so Cobra and would be hard to repaint Tiger Force. So I look forward to yours. Well, it's probably going to take me forever, but I already have one pulled apart. A coil, I mean, not a Tiger Force vehicle, but the tough part for me is going to be to decide where to put the teeth in that and how to figure out how to paint the teeth in that. But I think I'm going to try to put the teeth on the fairing, on the face on the fairing, or the eyes on the fairing, and the teeth sort of along the curve of the front fender. That's my other slight nitpick with that Tiger Force Ram, is that I for some reason I just felt like that fairing should have got the face on it, but I'm not designing them, and I'm not criticizing the design team. They're doing their best. My understanding was that was the easiest place for them to get a tampo that would look good. There was too many broken surfaces on that fairing, so they had to go on the tank, which is fair enough. If you have a Ram, take a look at it. There's a lot of angles and levels and sort of texture in terms of design texture on that Ram fairing. It would be very difficult to get a very consistent, high quality tampo on that fairing. So I get it. I understand. Chances are I'll probably buy one. So I'm not, again, I preface all this stuff by saying I love all this stuff. I just anyway, moving on from Amazon, moving on from the other news that we got, and forgive me, I didn't set this up correctly, so it's going to take me a sec. Like I said, I was rushing to get all set up today because the slideshow thing has not been working for me very well. And bear with me. I figured this out last week, and now I'm no, I don't want to see it. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the slideshow, but it doesn't want to do it properly again. So I had issues with this last time too. Oh well, we'll just, let me see. So you guys get to see all the boring stuff that I've got. And it's trying to go full screen when I do that. I don't know. What if I do this? Does that look better for you guys? No, it doesn't. Oh, now it's all bunged up. Okay, well, while I try to fix that, we could talk about the two. What clearly I was trying to show is that the two characters that they've announced for this week were Grunt and Scrap Iron, which I think are fantastic additions to the line. Grunt is going to give us a good green shirt option. I think he's probably going to be based, on Stalker, Breaker, the Commando Snake Eyes that we have. Similar figure to those, with maybe different harness, different loadout. Hopefully he gets his helmet. I really hope he gets his helmet because we need more helmets. And if he's a relatively generic green shirted Joe, he should be pretty popular. Now, now I'm still super frustrated because I'm trying to get this out of, there we go. I'm still working on that while I'm chatting with you guys, but the Grunt I think is a great addition. If we get a green shirt, I think a lot of people will be very happy. He'll be a great figure for kit bashing and customizing, as Breaker already is. To get more green, and you can swap it. You can swap the green and the green legs onto another colored figure, and vice versa. I think he's going to be great. Scrap Iron, I think, is the really big draw there of the two. Scrap Iron, they did mention, is going to be packaged essentially in the price point box that we've gotten the Snake Eyes and Timber figure, as well as the Croc Master and Fiona figure. So I think it's very likely that the missile launcher, but they kind of mentioned it's like a drone type thing. I think it's going to be more elaborate than the vintage one. I think we'll get a very vintage inspired figure with a much more elaborate loadout for his missile launcher and stuff like that. Tyler, I mentioned on Full Force the other day, would love multiple ethnicities releases for Grunt. Do you mean they would do like variants? Like you would get multiple versions of him? I don't really, because I mean Grunt's a named character, so I don't know sort of what your thoughts are there. I mean, he's a figure that you could use to create more figures. But I don't know what you mean by multiple ethnicities for Grunt. Apart, like I said, apart from if they did different, like, do you mean reusing that for different characters? Like if they did just a generic green shirt, they could use that body and just do, you know, different ethnicities. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what your sort of thinking is on there, but Grunt as a green shirt is great. 2 or 3 for me. The only other G.I. Joe troop builder I can think of is Steel Brigades. So with no announcement of those, I'll take a couple Grunts. Yeah, I think exactly. I think this is the most easily customizable figure so far. Breaker is too. I mean, Breaker to me is a green shirt, and he didn't come with any accessories. Like he didn't come with any weapons or anything like that. So you could use him. And effectively, I don't know how much more green shirt you're going to get than what Breaker was. The only thing I can think is if his web gear, like his harness, comes in a more, you know, a more generic setup, like more of a harness type thing, more like the Cobra Officer or something like that. Sorry, green shirt. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the Grunt is Grunt, but you know they could use that figure. They're reusing, you know, that figure already. So there's options there. Stalker looks to be very much the Commando Snake Eyes, as is Breaker, like I said, and I think Grunt will be as well. So take a look at those figures and compare them. There's not much difference in terms of the base figures. It's more the accessories. So it's more the web gear and vests, it's more the head sculpts, and then the loadouts. But a passive samurai, I bet it's just Stalker's secondary on a drab green body, similar to Breaker, hopefully pinless now. The pinless thing doesn't bother me. The pinless thing bothers me when it's something like I think probably the most famous one, or the one that you hear about the most, is Spider-Man, because on one side of his, you know, on one side of his arm the suit's red, and on the other side of the suit it's blue, and so you get an obvious discolored pin. If the pin is the same color on both sides, I don't really have an issue with pins or pinless. And I got to say, for kit bashing and customizing, it's a little bit easier if they've got pins. I mean, if you're so inclined, if you're going to go kind of full custom and you want a lower leg but not an upper, having those pins actually makes it a little bit easier, but to each their own. Now I can't even remember what I was talking about. Oh, I was talking about those 2 characters getting released. Good news. Like I said, I think both of those are going to be great figures. I don't, you know, I don't know when we're going to get them though. So I don't get too excited about those. You hear the names and you go, oh, great. And then we wait. I'm more curious to see, you know, the renders, the digital renders, and more specifically the physical reveals. Because to me, the physical reveals are what really sell me on a figure. I've said this before. A lot of the digital renders I looked at and just thought, yeah, it looks okay. You know, the Zaymot and Tomax looked okay. Stalker looked okay. You know, a lot of them look okay. They look as I would expect them to look. But I'm very seldomly sold on a name or a digital render. I got to see the figure to know whether or not I'm gonna buy something like that. But yes, easier to kit bash, but I really like the pinless figures, and lots of the new ones are now pinless. Yes, that is fair, and I like the look of the pinless as well. And if I'm being honest, I'm doing less and less kit bashing as they're announcing more and more characters and more figures. So pinless is a step in the right direction. I think it looks cleaner. I agree. I think it's a little bit more polished. It's a little bit more, you know, it looks a little bit higher quality. But you know, give me a great figure that has pins, and I'm probably not going to be criticizing the figure for the pins, unless the pins are awful. But anyway, okay, so here is my sort of critical thing, my big nitpick. This is sort of the big thing that's been going through my head a lot recently. And that is how do I phrase it? It's the prices. But my complaint isn't with the prices as such. My complaint is with the inconsistency of the prices. I get that the prices are going up. I can appreciate that. I can understand that. My confusion lies in, well, let me just read off some prices and you'll know what I'm talking about. I got my notes, so I'll read my notes. And I will read American prices as well as Canadian prices. By and large, they're adjusted accordingly. Like the sort of percentage above the US price for the Canadian price is effectively the same. Sometimes it seems like more. Just maybe it's psychological. Maybe it's just in our brains we sort of process the one that I'm specifically talking about, the Viper 3-pack. When we get there, I'll sort of talk about it. But so the standard release figures, and I'm talking about current prices. So I'm not talking about they used to be this price, now they're this. I don't have a problem with that. The prices of things have gone up. I work in retail. The prices of things have gone up. That's a thing. You can't argue against that. If you're myopically looking specifically at G.I. Joe figures, you know, and then sort of picking a random thing out of the ether to sort of compare it to, it doesn't always appear that things are going up in the same way. My understanding, and I heard this from a couple different sources, is that effectively Hasbro held their pricing as low as they could for as long as they could, and just couldn't hold it anymore. So that's why we saw sort of a bigger jump. But that being said, that's not my complaint. That's not my complaint at all. Things are more expensive now. That's just reality. But I'll read these prices and then I'll sort of explain what my criticism is. So standard release figures are $25 in the US, $37 in Canada. Snake Eyes and Timber, as well as like the Breaker with the Ram, Baroness, Croc Master, and Fiona. So basically the what I perceive to be the deluxe sort of loadouts are $45 in the US, $70 here. The Viper 3-pack was $90 in the US, $140 in Canada. The Ninja 2-pack was $45 US and $70 Canadian on Amazon.ca. That's Amazon's prices for both the American and the US. Kamakura was $34 US and $50 Canadian. I don't mind a price increase. I'm just confused why the Viper 3-pack, which is a redeco of existing figures, is $90 and $140. So just looking at the US price, $90. So it's $30 per figure. The Ninja 2-pack is $45. So it's $22.50 per figure. So it's like $750 less, even though it's effectively the same thing. Troop Builder multi-pack. And standard figures are 25 bucks. Kamakura is 34. You know, it's $9 more expensive. But then, like, Kamakura is 34. Snake Eyes and Timber is 45. So again, for $9 more than Kamakura, you get Timber. I don't like. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it, and there's probably something that we don't know. There's probably something going on, you know, behind the scenes in terms of price and costing and licensing. You know, with Kamakura, I thought, well, maybe it's an Amazon thing, but then when I look at the Ninja 2-pack, the Ninja 2-pack is cheaper than, like, cheaper per figure than the Viper 3-pack, and it just doesn't make logical sense. I don't see. Am I crazy? Am I looking at clouds and seeing you know, weather control machines? Like, is this a conspiracy theory that I've come up with in my brain? I don't know. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this? It's like I said, I've said it a couple times already. Pre-ordered all this stuff. I'm happy to get it. You know, at the price that Kamakura is, I'm happy to get one. I'm not going to get multiples, because I think that's probably about the threshold where you know, if standard release went that high, I don't know. I think it would dramatically affect my buying patterns. But I can't wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around it. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on that? Tyler, the Viper 3-pack has more accessories, right? Blast effects, where Ninja 2-pack is just repurposed weapons. Would that be it? I think that's their argument. I'm not a huge fan of blast effects. I just don't know. I don't know that I'll ever use them, to be honest. I think that's the argument. I think you're getting more stuff in the box. My question is whether with a troop builder pack, we needed that. That sort of logic also doesn't make sense when applied to Kamakura. The Ninja 2-pack also has repurposed weapons, but they're in a different color, and with some of the swords, the blades appear to be painted. So there's added deco, there's added paint there, like more paint than what came with, you know, the Red Ninja, and it's effectively the Red Ninja. There's no, you know, we even get a new head sculpt. Like, we get a second head sculpt, so it's not even 100% a straight repaint. There's more detail, there's more stuff to that one than there is to the sort of the version that precedes it. Akiko didn't come with an alternate head. I don't know. I've sort of racked my brain to try to figure out why the difference in pricing is what it is. I don't know. If you guys have thoughts, if you have some insight, if you can sort of think of a logical reason behind it, it's weird, man. It's just weird, man. Like I said, maybe I'm the only one that's been thinking about this. Tyler, Kamakura is an Amazon exclusive, but like I said, Amazon exclusive for him. I go, okay, yeah, maybe they're trying to sort of upcharge it because it's an Amazon exclusive, but that doesn't explain the Ninja 2-pack, which is also an Amazon exclusive. And, you know, like I said, like, the Canadian price on those two Amazon items, Ninja 2-pack, $70. That's $35 a figure. That's effectively standard pricing. Kamakura, $50. So there's a $15 discrepancy between sort of cost per figure. And I can't explain that with, you know, blast effects or what have you. It's, I don't know. It's just odd. It's just an odd one. Ninja 2 pack has 3 new head sculpts as well. Yes, you're absolutely you're absolutely right. There's actually 3 new head sculpts because there's 2 new head sculpts for the female ninja as well as the Oni mask for the male ninja. And then I think a pretty decent loadout in terms of how much they get for weapons. So it's not like they skimped in that way either. It's I don't know. It just seems inconsistent, and the inconsistency is my complaint. We try to have that chat with Aaron Archer, who was the lead guy for the Transformers. So I'm not, you know, I've got some of the Earthrise stuff, but I don't know what's going on in the other lines. I know that there's been sort of price discrepancies with, you know, whether it's legacy line or movie line or the Netflix series line or what have you. Is it an issue for Transformers guys? I don't know. I'm just not familiar with it. I know with Black Series, there was a lot of people kind of complaining that the deluxe, that they'd started applying the deluxe title, quote unquote, to more figures than they maybe should have. They've applied it to pretty much all the Boba Fett figures. Their argument there was paint deco. They said there was a lot of hits of paint, and when you look at Boba Fett's figures, they do tend to have more paint apps. Kamakura has very few paint apps, so it ain't paint apps. That's what I'm saying, is like all the previous knowledge that I've had about why Hasbro has done deluxe or given the deluxe sort of title to a figure, it just doesn't apply. He's not bigger. He doesn't have more paint apps. He doesn't have more weapons. I'm just sitting here scratching my head trying to figure it out. But it is what it is. The figures still look great, so I'll take them. David, what's going on? If you're just joining us, I've just been complaining for 45 minutes. Just curious, where did you pull your prices from? Are there discrepancies between Pulse and Amazon and other retailers? I don't know. To the best of my knowledge, the Ninja 2-pack and Kamakura were Amazon exclusive. I didn't even look on Hasbro Pulse, but I believe I'm pulling it up now. I won't share it on the screen because it's not that exciting, and it's faster if I don't. So I'm just pulling it up now to see if I can answer that question. Ninja 2-pack was $45, Kamakura was $34, and it's exactly the same on Pulse. So Pulse hasn't you know, adjusted the price. You know, the Ninja 2-pack as well at $45 is the same price as like Snake Eyes and Timber or Breaker and Ram. So it's kind of an established price point, and I'm okay with that. Like I should say that too. Really the odd ones out are the Viper 3-pack as well as Kamakura. Because I think that Ninja 2-pack at the price that it's at, you know, 45 and 70, I'm fine with that. I don't mind that pricing at all. It's just that the two that are higher, I don't see the justification for the price increase there. You know, the Viper 3-pack, what does that work out to? 140. Quickly pull out your calculators. 140. What's that, like $47 per figure? You know, if a standard release figure was $47, would you buy it? If a Viper was $47, would you buy it? I don't know. It's just odd. Yet they add and weapon, and they call it a Voyager class. Oh, so I think what you're talking about with Transformers is like I think that like the Earthrise Optimus Prime was one that people were sort of Like I think he had gotten bumped into a higher price point class because I'm not going to remember the names, Larry, and feel free to sort of throw it in there. But with Transformers, they have sort of they have like tiered price points, and they call them different class. And I can't remember what they're called. Voyager class is one, but I know that there's other ones. And basically, the size of the box that the figure comes in corresponds with the price of the figure. And there are complaints within sort of the Transformer fandom that sometimes a figure maybe could have fit in and should have fit in a smaller box. And so that's, I think, what you're talking about. Similar, but in a weird way, I don't think it's the same. And that's what I'm saying, is that like Kamakura is going to come in a normal sized box. The Viper 3-pack is an odd one because it's we don't have a 3-pack before that as a precedence, but it looks very much like it's going to come in this sort of Breaker and Ram sized box. So it's even less, it's even more of a mystery, I guess. But and Tristan comes through there for us, who is also a Transformers guy. Thank you, Tristan. Deluxe, Voyager, and Leader. And I think that Optimus was a Leader class, and everybody thought it should have been a Voyager class, just as an example. Larry goes one further and adds Core class. Rat Trap was Core class, which I thought was great because he's tiny. David says, I think Kamakura is going to be a pass for me because I had to ask who he was. Looks cool, but I don't get why it's a deluxe. Yes, exactly. And Kamakura is a great character. Kamakura, aka Sean Collins, aka Throwdown, aka Snake Eyes, has been around in G.I. Joe lore for quite a while. He is well established. I'm really glad that they're pulling a character that essentially Devil's Due championed in their comic book series. He still exists in the IDW sort of current lore. There was like a 10-part series in the IDW comics, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, called Snake Hunt, which involved him, which involved not as Kamakura, but as Snake Eyes. If you want more details about that, it's all online, or message me, whatever. It's complicated, and it's weird and complicated and not that easy to sort of wrap your head around in 2 minutes, so I won't bother. I have Viper 3-pack on Pulse as 90 US, which is 116 Canadian. I am confused. It's 116 Canadian when you convert. Okay. Okay. I see what you mean. I'm pulling the US retail price and the Canadian retail price. I'm not pulling the US price and then converting it because depending on when your card is charged, it could be a different amount. If that makes sense. Maybe that was your question? Maybe that clears it up. I understand where your confusion was there. Optimus was bumped to Leader to include the trailer. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the price on Optimus. I think he's a really great figure. I think he came in a Voyager class for the previous release. I think that's why people were mad. A lot of people thought the trailer was lacking, though. I thought it was fine. But I'm not a Transformers guy, so maybe I just wasn't objective enough about it. Can't wait for Transformers Con in 2 weeks. Yeah, Transformers stuff. I don't know. I probably get more information about Transformers stuff from you guys than I do from any other source. So they're cool. I had a couple as a kid. It was never the line that I was really that into. It was always the case for me that I wanted to just put my figures in a vehicle and sort of drive away. I didn't want to have to transform a vehicle to play with it. Some of them are super simple, and some of them take me like 20 minutes to transform some of them. So that just didn't fit my play patterns. So I was never into Transformers. Okay. That's enough of that. That's enough sort of ranting. That's enough of me banging on about that. We're already sort of well into the hour that we're shooting for. Last thing we're going to talk about, HasLab. We are now, if if we get it on Wednesday, we're now only a few days away. What do you guys think we're going to get? What do you think the price point is going to be? What do you think the stretch goals might be? Are you going to jump on it? Are you going to back it? Are you going to get multiples? What are you guys' thoughts? I am of the opinion that I think we will get the I think I might have. Okay, I might have figured this out. I might have. I might not have. Let's try and find out. Let's see if, okay, I think it might have worked. I think it might have worked. So we'll see. We believe it's going to be the his tank. I can only assume that if we get his tank, we will get the driver. And that's effectively where my expectations end. And what I mean by that is if it's the his tank and driver, I'm sort of with you, Larry. His tank at 80 to 100 for the first tier. Are you saying price point wise? I think it's going to be more than that. But the other thing is with the unlock tiers, it's all sort of it's all part of that price. So if you back it at $150, every tier that unlocks you get with the purchase price. So it's not, but that's the difficult thing for me. It's because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, here's what I want from a HasLab version of a his tank. Working treads. I want a rear hatch that opens, and maybe I can fit a couple figures in there sitting down. And then the turret, I hope they do the turret sort of ratcheted so that it will hopefully avoid the problem that vintage his tanks have of the floppy turret, because that mechanism that they used just wasn't as good. But I think they could use the ratchets, and that could be pretty good. That being said, stretch goal wise, the weird thing is this is what I want. That's all I want from the his tank. Maybe a second driver. Maybe but that's just to have two on the tank itself, one driver, one turret operator. But I don't necessarily need more than that. This is the frustrating thing for me. I would love to see a retail version of this, but I wonder if they do it as HasLab, whether they would release a retail version of it. Like, I wonder if I really hope that we don't only get HasLab level G.I. Joe vehicles. That's my concern. Tristan, his tank with driver, hoping for under $200. Me too. And a lot of people say, like, there's no way it's going to be under $200. There's a lot of people that says there's no way it's going to be under $300. I disagree. And I pulled up the prices of all the HasLab projects that have successfully funded. I didn't bother looking at the ones that haven't. I didn't look at Cookie Monster. I didn't look at Rancor. But I looked at the ones that have been funded, and there's actually two of them under $200. So Hero Quest, I get, it's a totally different concept, different product, whatever, was $150. The Victory Saber was $180. And these are US prices, and I didn't convert them. And then above that, the Sky Striker at $230 was sort of the next lowest price point. But then going up from there, the Sentinel was $350. The Razor Crest was $350. Galactus was $400. Sail Barge was $500. Unicron was $575. That being said, a ton of people backed all of those, and they all funded. So there's a market out there for all that stuff. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The perceived value on this is really going to be the make or break. So if this is, let's say it's the same price as the Sky Striker. Let's say it's $230. For $230, I'm going to need this his tank to be bigger than I kind of expect it to be. I'm going to need it to be different in some ways to the vintage one. I'm going to need like more than just what I said I wanted. Maybe a cockpit that allows for two figures. Maybe there's more room in the back. Maybe tier 1 has 2 drivers, or a driver as well as you know, kind of the alternate version of the driver. That's just a different paint that came with a later release. Then as far as stretch goals, maybe we get the trailer. The trailer honestly doesn't do anything for me. I don't need my his tank to be anything more than a his tank. I guess that's my concern, is that with this one, I don't see what the stretch goals might be. I have no expectations of what the stretch goals might be, and I have no real desires for things that I would want to see as a stretch goal. What are you guys kind of thinking of for stretch goals? What would you like? I know Tyler, you had one that was a little bit. The weird thing was what you mentioned, Tyler, was a little bit in line with some of the rumors that we've heard, but unrelated to this. I've heard some people say like a vintage deco Cobra Commander. We already got that, so there's no. I don't need that. You know, if we're talking about sort of the royal blue variant of Cobra Commander that we got 2 years ago, I don't need it. I've already got it, and I would need a new Cobra Commander. You know, if they did hooded Cobra Commander, that might be, you know, a draw. But that being said, as I've said, I don't think we'll see that. Larry, the driver will be tier 2. Oh, you're thinking that the driver will be an unlocked tier. I don't. I think if you're going to do a hiss, you have to do the figure, especially at the price point that this is probably going to be. Tristan, hopefully extra figures as stretch goals. I hope so too. And here's where I'm kind of thinking, like, maybe they just do redecos and repaints of figures as stretch goals. Like, you don't even, you know, you get the trailer, but like in the same way that the Sky Striker just came with a bunch of figures by the time you sort of got all the stretch goals, I would be happy with that. Larry, I will have to order 2, one for me and one for my brother. Yeah, fair enough. I probably, price dependent, will too. Only my brother doesn't want one, so I'll probably keep his as well. Tristan, I feel this is a test to see how larger vehicles will be received. I think they're going to be received well. I think it's going to be in presentation. That's my big concern. I'd like a remodeled Asp. I could see the Asp again. You know, the his tank pulling an Asp, just seems odd to me. I don't necessarily need that. I don't even want the trailer. I don't want this trailer. I don't want. Can't remember what it was called in this version. I think it was called the SMS. But I could be wrong. Tristan, blue suited Baroness, that's a good call. Something like that, right? Where, you know, you're only going to get her with this. You know, to me, any figure is, you know, $30 to $40 value. So if they can sort of add a few figures and sort of the price, you know, and I can break it down. I'm just looking at this, and I did this with the Sky Striker too. I said, okay, here's the price of a Sky Striker. Here's the price of, you know, what Hasbro's charging for figures. So Hasbro's charging about $20 for an O-ring figure. You got like 8 O-ring figures or something. This is off the top of my head. You got something like 6 or 8 O-ring figures once it was unlocked. So that's $20 a piece. You're talking, 120 to 160 bucks. The whole thing's 230, so you're getting a Sky Striker for like 70 bucks. Like that's what I'm talking about, like perceived value. I need to be able to break this down in a way that the Hiss tank it comes across as cheap, if that makes sense. Just a thought, HasLab 2 Hiss tanks, 2-pack, different drivers. I think if it's a 2-pack, it won't be 2 Hiss tanks. I think they'd be more likely to have a lower price point and allow people to order more, if that makes sense. I also think of sort of the logistics of like if you did it as a 2-pack with different drivers, like what if people want the same driver for both? You know what I mean? Like the blue to me is sort of an alternate. It's a repaint, it's a redeco, but to me the Hiss driver is always the red outfit. Also, I think if you do 2, it's potentially cost prohibitive because you're effectively doing 2 HasLab, 2 units of sort of the HasLab product at the same time. So I don't know. It could be anything. I mean, all speculation is valid. It's Schrodinger's cat, right? Every suggestion and every rumor is valid until it's not. Sorry, I needed that sip for like 5 minutes. Larry, they won't do a hooded version. I agree. I wish they would. Hooded version I think is the hooded Cobra Commander is the ULA of G.I. Joe Classified. We are not likely ever going to see one, regardless of the project or what circumstances might be. We're not going to get one, which is a shame. I mean, I don't really see why, but I understand why Hasbro doesn't want to do it and likely will never do it. But Tyler, you had another one. You had another suggestion, which I think it could be, stretch goal number 4 or number 5. I think, and I don't want to say it because I'm sort of waiting for you to comment in there, so I don't steal your thunder, because that was one of the suggestions that I heard that I thought could be plausible, that could be possible. The trailer seems like an obvious one because it's sort of a throwback to this. So I could see the trailer as like, unlock tier 2, unlock tier 1 even. If we get the driver and the Hiss, unlock tier 1 could be the trailer. I could also see the trailer even being thrown into the sort of original bundle just to sort of have some value added. I know that like the Sky Striker came with the stand and all the loadout and sort of the ground vehicles and stuff like that to load the ordnance and stuff like that. The sail barge came with some other sort of accessories that went in the sail barge. So I think there's in all likelihood going to be more stuff that comes at the first the base offering. So I could see tier 1 being, if it's not in the base offering, I could see the trailer as tier 1. If the trailer is in the base offering, I could see another driver or, the alternate colorway as tier 1. I don't know what we would get for tier 2. I don't know what we would get for tier 3, 4, 5. But this is the one that you mentioned to me the other day, and I could see this one. So the Trouble Bubble. People have been talking about the Trouble Bubble. There's been rumors, there was people saying, oh, Mindbender is going to come with a Trouble Bubble. That was a completely unfounded rumor, but the Trouble Bubble is sort of thrown around. It's a relatively small vehicle. It could be relatively easy to get in a box with a Hiss tank. One of the things one of the reasons that the Trouble Bubble makes sense to me is because it's kind of an awkward vehicle to get in the box that the motorcycles have come in. So you guys might know this, you might not, but the reason that there's only so many sizes of boxes is because they basically figure out how much stuff fits on a pallet, and then they sort of break it down into like how much, how many boxes, and then how many of the individual units fit in a box. So they're trying to maximize effectively some of the logistics, some of the shipping, which is why we will continue to see the same size packaging for the standard figures, the same size packaging for the figures with pet, which is why scrap iron is being sort of labeled in systems as figure and pet. It's because it's going to come in that box. It's going to come in that size of box. That's how they sort of differentiate. The trouble bubble would be hard to break down in such a way that it would fit in that box. That's my opinion, which is why I think that one is one of my favorites. The 2-pack was my favorite in terms of getting a hiss and another vehicle like a vamp. I would love that one, and to me that would sort of justify a higher price point. That would also allow the stretch goals to be different, right? Because you could have his tank plus vamp, and then you're going to have driver, his driver and clutch. So you get 2 vehicles, 2 figures, and then beyond that, you could start getting into stretch goals. You could get the MMS, which is the Joe version of this trailer. Then you could get the SMS, which I think is the name for the Cobra version of the trailer. Like, you could start getting reuse of the stuff that's in the kit. And then beyond that, you could get, Blue Baroness on one side. You could get, another deco, another figure on the Joe side, whatever. It's all speculative. We don't know. But it's fun to speculate now and sort of get my hopes up. I'm just worried that the perceived value is just not going to land. Tyler, yes, it was the trouble bubble. That was the one that you mentioned that I thought was kind of my favorite of the suggestions that I've heard and the things that I've heard. Second driver figures tier 2, added weapons and accessories tier 3, redone Cobra Commander and Trouble Bubble to tier 4 to lock in funding. Just a thought. Yeah, I could see, like, that's sort of a pattern that I'm sort of looking at and sort of thinking. The Hiss tank has been released with different weapons turrets as well, so I could see that as a tier that we could get different turrets, and that could sort of. But then you're talking about multiples. They like to do it where they bully you into getting multiples. So I'm also thinking of what they could do with a hiss to force people's hands to get multiples with. I don't remember what Galactus had with his that sort of pushed people towards multiples. But I know that with Sentinel, he had different heads and different hands, and you could effectively, I think for each Sentinel there was sort of 3 or 4 different versions that you could build out. One of them being Master Mold, so you could get Master Mold plus 2 Sentinels. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. The Razor Crest, I don't think there was people that needed multiples. The Sail Barge is a one-off. You didn't really need multiples. Unicron, you didn't really need multiples. Sky Striker, they gave us lots of options, different decals, stuff like that. So that was sort of the way that they tried to push people towards multiple units. But it seems as though they're more inclined to do that at the lower price point ones. The higher price point ones, like I said, seem to be one and done. I know a lot of people that sort of are backing these are buying 2. They're buying 1 for themselves, and then a lot of people will buy a second one to sell off later or to sort of keep in package or whatever. I to each their own. Do what you want. They throw in the Megatron version. Yeah, that Maybe that's the HasLab, right? It's a 6-inch scaled, classified, scaled, transforming his tank that turns into the Megatron. Whatever the speculation, come Wednesday, it's going to be quite exciting when they reveal everything. Yes, absolutely. And that's next week. We're going to be doing another video. Next week's video, I'm actually going to do a few videos next weekend, and I haven't decided where everything is going to land because I'm going to be doing a highly articulated video, non-brand specific. I'm going to be doing I've got potentially got an interview lined up with somebody that I'm really excited to chat with. It's not G.I. Joe related, so watch it or don't. You'll see. I'll announce it and I'll probably post it in as many places as I can. But then I'm definitely doing a G.I. Joe one as well because we're gonna have the his tank, or we're gonna have the HasLab revealed, presumably. And so this coming week's going to be a big week. It's also Canada Day, so we're probably going to do a couple extra special things with the group. Nothing set in stone yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I can't believe it's a week away. I haven't organized enough stuff, haven't planned enough stuff. Include optional Tiger Force yellow stickers and Tiger Force roadblock. Yeah, but I mean, the Tiger Force hiss would have to be yellow, so they would have to do maybe they would do like a whole deco for the whole thing. I don't know. I don't see that, but Unicron was going for 1,500 on the secondary market. Well, that's not surprising. I think a lot of people slept on it. And I don't mean that. I mean, there was a lot of people backed it, but at $575, I think a lot of people were a little bit apprehensive. That was one of the earlier HasLabs too. So I think maybe the platform hadn't been tested. I don't know that enough people were sold on the idea of HasLab at that point. So I think that might be why that one, not as many people sort of got into. I said it with the Sky Striker, and I'll say it with this one. Whatever it is that comes out, it will be the cheapest you're ever going to get it. By backing the HasLab is the cheapest you're ever going to get it. So if you're on the fence, just think about that. But Canada Day show, Hawaiian shirt, dress code for all members. Well, I am going to be wearing my Chuckle shirt, so that's already set in stone. I just don't know. So this is the thing that I don't know. I don't know if the Canada Day show is going to be a non-brand specific, just sort of toy chat show, or whether the Canada Day show is going to be the G.I. Joe show. So that's what I don't know yet. So they had to extend Unicron an extra month. Well, okay, so people did sleep on it. Yeah, I forgot about that. I think the sail barge got extended as well. I think that was okay, so I believe the sail barge was first, and I think Unicron was second in terms of when they released these HasLab projects. So like I said, I think it was just a matter of people sort of getting used to it. They didn't have anything in hand. It's a big price point for a pre-order, and it gets charged at the end of the pre-order window. So we've known that this HasLab was coming for a while. No excuses for not having squirreled away a few extra ducats. I mean, a few extra ducats. It's going to be a lot of ducats, but regardless. That's all I had, guys. I apologize for clapping because that probably came through really loud. If you guys got more questions, more comments, fire away, and then I'm going to jump off here in a few minutes. But super cool to see all the G.I. Joe classified figures dropping across the board. Croc Masters in Canada, Tomax and Zaymot in Germany, Viper 3-packs in Spain, Tiger Force in UK. Excited for it all. You put Tomax and Zaymot every time I I think of those names, I always think of Zaymot first. And so when people put it that way, it confuses me. And that's when I had to pause when I was reading it. Larry, I think the Cookie Monster was the first HasLab. That's yes. And like I said, I wasn't counting failed ones. So we've had the sort of life-sized, pretty much authentic, Cookie Monster puppet kind of thing, which I can understand why that didn't fund. And we also had the failed Rancor. I believe those are the only two failed HasLab projects. The current one, the double-bladed, what's her name, Riva, the third sister, double-bladed lightsaber, I think is about to be the third failed HasLab. And the Star Wars team is gonna have to take a very serious look at their marketing and their strategy in terms of what people will and won't buy. I think it's tough, man. Like it's not easy. It's not easy to come up with these projects, and not easy to get them designed and get them sort of pushed through and all that kind of stuff. I just hope that whatever is released as the HasLab classified project, like I said, I just hope that the perceived value is there. I just hope that it funds relatively quickly. I think the quicker it funds, the more likely it is to hit the stretch goals. The Sky Striker, I think, funded on the last day, if I'm not mistaken, and then hit all but the last stretch goal. I think if it had funded a day or two earlier, I think we would have hit that last stretch goal easy. But that's just my opinion. I don't see Riva lightsaber will fail. You don't see it failing. You think it's going to fund. They have 15 days left, and they're at, I think, like 1,100 of 5,000 backers. I'm not saying that it couldn't. I'm just saying that at the rate that people are jumping on board, they're running out of time to sort of add perceived value to that project. There's been no mention of any stretch goals whatsoever, and they've only got like 15 days left. I just don't know. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up here to actually sort of speak to the numbers accurately. 15 days left. 1,125 backers of 5,000. $500. Still no mention of stretch goals, no value added, no nothing. They're not. I don't know. Most of the Force Effects lightsabers that they do are less than 300. And I've heard a lot of people say that they just don't understand why, that one's so much more. Which is why, I have my concerns for the Hiss tank. I just think that it has to have the perceived value right out of the box. The stretch goals are one thing, but a lot of people will wait. A lot of people will wait and see if it funds before they jump on board, because a lot of people will look at the stretch goals as almost necessary. It's hard to back something if you don't see the value in the base offering. So I don't know. I really hope they don't make it an RC thing. I don't want that or need that. I think that would bump the price up, and that wouldn't be something that I would want. But that's just me. All right, guys. That's all I had. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you for commenting and interacting with me. Thank you for lasting through my nitpicking and my ranting and my criticisms. Um, Let me know what you guys want to see. If you guys want, the format to be different, or you want me to do something that I'm not currently doing, that you see somewhere else or whatever, let me know. You can either message me or comment on the actual YouTube video. I'm trying to give you guys what you want. I'm trying to make this fun. I'm trying to make something that's entertaining. I would love to ultimately grow the audience a little bit more. No slight against you guys. You guys are great, and I hope that you guys stick around regardless. But just in terms of the expanding the audience. We got like 400 people in the Northern Outpost group, and 5 people watching this. So I would just I would just love to have more people to chat with. Is essentially what it comes down to. So to that end, I hate that I have to say this, but if you like the video, subscribe, share it with people if you want, do what you want. If any of you guys ever want to be on the video with me when I do it, let me know. I'm happy to have co-hosts. Tyler, you've been on. I think of the people in the chat today, you're the only person that's been on. I would love to have any and all of you guys on. You're more than welcome. So like I said, reach out and let me know. But on that note, I will wrap it up. I will say again, thank you. I will see you again very soon.